Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this important training. Today, we're going to talk about how to recognize, understand, and respectfully engage with deaf-blind individuals. Deaf-blind means a person has both hearing and vision loss. This can make it hard or even impossible for them to see or hear you. Deaf-blindness exists on a spectrum. Some people have no vision at all, while others have low vision and might still see light, shapes, or use high contrast and magnification to read. Similarly, deaf-blind people exist on a deaf spectrum. Some have residual hearing and others are fully deaf. Because of this, communication methods vary. Many deaf-blind people use tactile American Sign Language, tactile ASL, where signs are felt through touch, and haptics, which are touch signals on the body used to share visual or emotional information.
Vision descriptions. There are many different causes of deafblindness, and vision loss can look different from person to person. Some deafblind people are born with conditions like Usher syndrome, which causes both hearing loss and vision loss over time. Usher syndrome includes a condition called retinitis pigmentosa, which leads to tunnel vision. Others might experience macular degeneration, which affects central vision, or have underdeveloped optic nerves, resulting in extreme blurriness. It's important to remember, many deafblind people still have some usable vision, what we call low vision. They might need higher contrast, large print, or visual information up close. Hearing loss overview. Hearing loss also exists on a spectrum, mild to moderate. Individuals can often hear general sounds, but speech clarity is reduced. Severe, very limited ability to understand speech, even with loud sound. Profound, little or no hearing at all. This is typically considered deaf. We'll include a hearing loss chart to give you a visual reference for these ranges. Environmental influences. The environment plays a huge role in how a deafblind person perceives you. If lighting is too dark or bright, someone with usable vision may not be able to see you at all. If you're standing in front of a bright light, you may appear as a shadow. If they have some hearing, a noisy setting might make communication impossible. Be mindful of how you position yourself and whether the space supports communication.
Tools and support. Many deaf-blind individuals use a variety of tools to support independence and communication. Glasses or magnifiers to help with reading or viewing small print. They may use a braille display if magnifiers do not help them. White canes or guide dogs for navigation. Hearing aids or cochlear implants are sometimes paired with microphones to better localize sound. And most importantly, support service providers, or SSPs, sometimes called co-navigators, who guide, provide environmental context, and visual information. Some people choose not to use certain tools if they aren't effective. Respect the individual's choice. Communication approaches. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for communication with deafblind individuals. Here are some methods that can work. Speak clearly, a bit louder than usual, but don't exaggerate. If you're not understood, rephrase instead of repeating. Use a notes app with large text to go back and forth. Some people will be able to use a notes app with a braille display. A whiteboard and marker can also be useful. Printing on their palm means that you can trace letters in the deaf-blind person's hand. ASL interpreters should be called when a person uses sign language. If you notice the deaf-blind person reach out, that means they will most likely need tactile ASL interpreter.
What should you do? So you see a deaf-blind person. What now? Gently tap their shoulder to get their attention. Speak and gesture at the same time. Say, "Hi, how are you?" while waving or smiling. This gives you a chance to see if they respond to sound or visuals. Look for cues. Do they have a cane? Dog? Hearing aids or implants? Are they raising their hands to sign? They may be checking if you sign. You can also place your badge in their hands. Some may identify you through touch. That small gesture can build trust quickly. To give you more insight, we asked members of the DeafBlind community to share their experiences. What message would you give to first responders or police officers about how to support deafblind people respectfully?
Deaf-blind folks need American Sign Language interpreters to help with communication and understanding, and to help explain what is going on in general.
If a cop approached you, how should they identify themselves?
The best way to get a deaf-blind person's attention is not by waving your hand in their face, but rather by tapping them on the shoulder. Most deaf-blind folks appreciate this over a hand being waved because they won't be able to see it.
Have you ever had a negative or confusing experience with law enforcement?
One time while I was walking alone near a highway with the aid of my cane, I saw a cop car pull up next to me. The officer got out and began approaching me. I tried to indicate to him that I was deaf by pointing to my ears and shaking my head. I tried to gesture to him that he could print on my palm what he was trying to say to me. But the officer backed away from me. I just wanted to show him my ID, but the officer called for backup. So again, I tried to gesture to communicate, but the officer still wasn't understanding. But finally, the officer understood that he could use his finger, like a pen, to write out what he wanted to say on my palm. At that moment, when the backup officers arrived, the original officer let them know that we were able to figure things out. I know that most people might be afraid of touch or alternative forms of communication, but eventually he understood that I was deaf, as well as blind, which was obvious because of my cane. In the end, he helped take me where I needed to go, which I was grateful for.
Can you share a time when communication with a police officer went well?
Once while I was walking, I somehow walked into a dangerous area that was designated by some orange traffic cones. A cop saw me and began to yell towards me. They didn't know I was deaf. Because that didn't get my attention, they decided to run over to me. I want to stress that if this individual had ran over to me and placed their hand firmly on my shoulder out of the blue, then that would have frightened me, as it would any deafblind person. Instead, when they got to me and realized that I couldn't hear what they were saying, they grabbed my hand and guided it to where their badge was on their chest, which helped me realize that they were a cop. When grabbing someone's hand, it's important not to do it too aggressively or with too much force. Simply grab the deaf-blind person's hand and guide it to your shoulder so that they can follow you through touch. You can touch their hands or motion to them with your palms towards them like this. This indicates to them to stay where they are. This can be helpful if the officer needs to fill out a report or wait for a Vancro ASL interpreter to arrive. Then, once an interpreter arrives, they can interpret through tactile signing.
Hello. I'd like to share a story that involved campus police and how we resolved an issue. One day while I was out walking with my guide dog, I had a backpack with my water bottle attached. Well, my water bottle fell off my bag, and I had no idea. So me and my dog continued walking. Although my dog kept looking behind us, which confused me until I finally turned around and saw a shape quickly coming directly towards us. So I got scared and began to run and hurried my dog to run as well. We ran until we got to an intersection. Then a cop car pulled up right in front of me, which I was confused by. An officer got out and handed me my water bottle. I had no idea that all of this had happened until the cop went out of their way to help me out by returning my water bottle to me and explained the situation to me.
Do you have any other general tips when engaging with deafblind people?
If you're in a situation where you're not sure if a deaf-blind person is in pain, like if they are on the ground after a fall, how would you communicate with them? This goes for anyone, whether you're a cop or a first responder of some kind. Remember that they won't be able to see or hear you clearly, so you will need to use touch to communicate. You can use the individual's forearm to write out letters of the alphabet. This is ideal until the individual can be taken to a hospital or an ASL interpreter has arrived. Before an interpreter arrives, the communication by touch can occur on either forearm or even the shoulders, whatever way the deaf-blind person can be communicated with. I'm always encouraging other deaf-blind folks to communicate that they are deaf and blind as clearly as possible to officers.
Awareness makes a difference. Every deaf-blind person is unique, and your patience, observation, and willingness to adapt go a long way. We hope this training helps you feel better prepared to serve and protect all members of our community, including those who are deaf-blind. Thank you.